of you in today's session. Now, today's session is very specific, based on the demands of the students. Various demands have come with the students, and mainly now their demand is very specific. And what they want to say is that they want us to focus on the theme areas. So today's theme is current affairs. How do we prepare for current affairs? Now, before starting this theme-based session, the objective here is to understand that what is the role of current affair in the entire examination. Now, as a student of, I consider myself as a student of this process, because I have invested, this is my 10th year of mentoring students. In fact, since 2011, I've been guiding and mentoring students. So how to prepare current affair is one of the most basic questions which every aspirant should know if you're preparing for the examination. Now, let's be very clear on few facts that you cannot crack the examination without the understanding of current affairs. You cannot crack the examination without a thorough effort in current affairs. Biplab, this question is in this session is in Hindi. So if you want to attend Hindi session, you need to attend the other lecture. So this session is entirely for English medium student. For Hindi medium student, we'll be arranging other lecture. So as I mentioned, the current affair is the most important part of the examination. And so let's try and understand that how do we go with current affairs. So here objective is to focus on the newspaper and the current affair for IAS examination. Okay. Now, before just going, let's understand the quickly syllabus. So what kind of drive you have for the services? You want to get into the services. So what is the prime objective? Why do you want to get into the services? What is the major objective? For me, this is the most primary question every aspirant should ask themselves. What is the drive and motivation? And the drive and motivation has to be from inside. It has to be intrinsic, because UPSC is a marathon which requires a sustained effort over a period of time. If you sustain the effort, it will at least require 12 to 15 months before going to the mains, for the examination, and then another 9 to 10 months of the entire process of examination, which means effectively you need at least 2 years of your life for this preparation. So here we are not, we cannot assume that some magic will happen. What is the magic in the preparation is if you are able to sustain the process, if you're able to maintain the continuity, if you're able to understand the nuances of the competition, if you try to understand the nitty-gritties of competition and your own strength, where you stand, what you can do, how do you improve your preparation, and number of questions have to be answered. So quickly, we all know syllabus, the prelims and the mains, and the personality test. Now, here the current affair is common in both the areas, prelims, mains, and of course in the interview. In all three levels, if you ask me, my experience in past so many years, I would say that current affairs, you can easily expect some 30 to 40% questions in current affairs in the entire civil service examination, which means at prelims, mains, and interview we get around 2025 marks. Okay. So this is the qualifying marks. 1750 is for mains examination, and 275 is for the interview. If you add together, it is 275 marks. 2025 marks. So here you can easily say that weightage of current affair is not less than 30-40%. Now, naturally, if you ask me, sir, current affair, for that you need to have a basic understanding of subject as well. If you understand, if you're able to understand the basics of the subjects, then only you'll be able to understand the current affairs. For example, if you read an article on economics or in geography or in social issues, so you need to understand the basics. So naturally, the current affair will act as a catalyzing element. Traditionally, UPSC preparation is of two main areas. We can divide. One is the static part, another is the dynamic part. The static or conventional areas we can say, and dynamic is of course the non-conventional areas. So this is dynamic is all depend on the current affair, and hence objective of an aspirant is to understand this part. And the problem with this part is that this has to be updated every year. It has to be updated. It has to be regular. It's like you have a daily routine of going to doing your daily chores, doing your daily work. Similarly, the current affair, till the time you get selected, it is a part of your daily chores. You have to do current affairs on a daily basis. There are no alternatives. Okay. Even if you don't study for a day, it is okay. But make sure that you are thorough with the newspaper and what is going around you. in the surrounding. Now you can see in the GS paper, the first is itself the current event. Okay, you can see here. So first topic is current event. So they are asking about current thing, and current event means in every area. Broadly, geography, polity and governance, economic, social development, environment. These all are areas, science, you can easily link with the current affair. For example, if you study Constitution of India and you understood about how do we amend the Constitution, an amendment of the Constitution is as per the Article 368 of Indian Constitution, and based on that they would ask that what is the 101st amendment of India's Constitution and analyze it. So you can say, you'll say, okay sir, this is the static part, but remember, understanding the conceptual part is static. They are more concerned about analysis of 101st amendment of the India's Constitution, which was of course GST which came. So they, now here you need to, this is the dynamic part. So there is a strong linkage of the current part with whatever is there in the syllabus. Now we have to be very thorough on that part. Now I believe all of you must have understood the syllabus. Let's quickly go and understand the syllabus also. Now, if you try and understand the syllabus of UPSC examination, UPSC is, so this is the prelim syllabus we already seen, but I'm more concerned about the main syllabus. And where are the current affairs, from which area current affair will come? So let's see paper General Studies 1. Now here Indian heritage, culture, history, geography and world, geography of the world and society. Ideally this part, history, is a static part, which means you would not get current affair here. But let's say something is in news. Let's say some new innovation or new something is in news of different culture. So you might feel that it is a static part, but remember, since it is a news, so you need to map your current with what you have read in the history. So here also there is a direct linkage of whatever is going around you. Let's say there is some tribe in news, or let's say there's some culture, in news for some reason in the, for whatever in India. India is a big country, so many states, so many regions, so many, languages, culture, belief system. So if there's something in news related to Northeast or maybe central part of India or, in the part of India, so you can say it's a question of history or maybe culture, but you can also understand that since it is in the news, you can expect question from there. Same is true with, society, geography also. A lot of people say that, sir, how do we understand? Because, if I have to say geography, map is a very important part of the geography. Let's take an example. What can come in the current affair? Now here, let's say South Asia is in news, or South China Sea is in news. Okay, South China Sea is in news. So they might give a question on South China Sea, and you feel, array, this is a question of geography, and and for that you have to thorough with every part of the world in terms of map. Now here you can easily make a list of news, list of the area, list of the topics which are in news from the point of view of science and tech or geography, or maybe or geography or maybe international relations. And you can easily say, okay, South China Sea news in past so many, so past 10 months or 2 years, maybe a few times. So let's understand South China Sea. Similarly, let's understand what is happening in Central Asia or Middle East, because maybe it is in news, or maybe or Africa. So when you map whatever is in the news with the syllabus, the chances of you cracking your examination is much higher. You would not do random studies. UPSC is a very wide syllabus, and for the wide syllabus, first you have to understand the relevance of current affair, where does it come from, and map the list of topics and study accordingly. Naturally, a general tendency should be that you cover the entire map of India and world and Asia and the world and India, of course, but try to focus on those areas which are in news more, and hence you would be easily able to get 60-70% of the questions of current affairs from those areas directly, and that is a common sense every aspirant should understand. So current events are very important. Now again, as I mentioned, current affair here. Now paper 2 and paper 3, if you go with the GS paper 2, GS paper 2 is about constitution, governance, constitution, polity, social justice and international relations. Now if you try to understand GS paper 2, there are 20 questions in mains, and out of this 20 question, easily you can say 10 to 12 questions will have current affair linkage easily, which means if you study constitution, if you study what is happening, let's say you study, some bill or amendment is there in the, is there, or some new law has been made, or maybe, new reform has been brought in certain part of, constitution or anything. So you can easily make a list of such topics and you can link with the current. So that is what the objective should be, that you are able to understand. In fact, GS paper 2 and GS paper 3 are the areas which can easily, the entire paper can be navigated easily, and I believe 50 to 60% of the subject will easily come from the current issues. So almost half of the paper will be there. Similarly, even say same is true about essay and interviews. You can say 50% or 60% of the interview questions are from current issues. So that is the relevance of a UPSC. And if you are thorough with current affair, chances of UPSC cracking the examination is much higher. And I will also get into how do you start and what should be covered. That is another part. Similarly, let's go to GS over 3. So technology. Now, what is going to come in science and tech? Anything in news, science and tech, but anything in news that is important. For example, 5G technology is coming, or maybe nanotechnology is being discussed, or maybe new thing has come, or maybe artificial intelligence being discussed, or machine learning has been discussed, or IoT, Internet of Things have been discussed. So these are the technologies which are in news. Something new technology has come in the area of climate change or biotechnology. Some innovation has been done by Indian people or in the foreign nation. So you can easily get questions here. And if you make a, if you go to the questions that have come in the past few years, you'll find that most of the questions are current linked. For example, government is using big data in the technology. Government is using, machine learning. Government recently has launched national mission of quantum mechanics. So if you, make a list of such things and be thorough on these, I assure you that, in science and tech, out of 10 questions, you'll find 4 or 5 questions easily. Which means with little effort, you don't have to roam around and pick a book from the market and mug it up. No, that is not needed. Aspirant can use their common sense. Of course, there are certain good magazines also in the market. For example, Science Reporter is there, Down to Earth is there for environment ecology. That can be filtered later on. But here the objective is to focus the browse through the newspaper, because newspaper has no other alternative. The most important thing for current affairs is newspaper reading. Similarly, same is true for economic development, biodiversity, environment, security. It is entirely in current affair. Disaster management, entirely current affair. Static part you will study in your notes or in your classes, but you have to link with the dynamic part also. Right now, disaster management. This COVID-19 is also a part of disaster management. Now, in the north part of India, I'm sitting in Delhi, and every day we are witnessing earthquakes are coming. So disaster management. So here, what should be the approach? Disaster response. So the static part, but you have to link with the dynamic area, whatever in the news. So that is where, if I say current affair is the most important part of the preparation, and you have to focus very thoroughly on the current affair part. Okay. Now I will go into these are the subjects which come in the prelims. So Indian polity, economics, environment, current affair. So these are the strong linkage of current affair area. Okay, so first half an hour, in next 20 minutes, I'll discuss what to be read in the current affair, and then after that, I'll be taking questions. Now, this is the mains part. Apart from prelim syllabus, what are the main syllabus? So world history, Indian society. Now here, international relations will be entirely current affairs linked. Polity and governance, social issues, almost entirely current affair linked. Internal security, again current affair linked. Disaster management, current affair linked. And ethics, integrity, and aptitude, also current affair linked. In fact, you have not read, but this is a very, this is a very high scoring area. You can, if you do well in the ethics, integrity, and aptitude, remember it's one huge paper. Student take this paper for granted. But if you are thorough with current affair, of course, the orientation of ethics would be different. It will not be like normal current affair reading. But anything, let's say something is coming about governance, about code of ethics, about corruption, the probity in administration, or anything for that matter. So you can easily link with the current affair, and they will make frame questions in those areas as well. So you can say not only GS paper 2 and 3, but even the 4 paper has current affair linkage, because the relevance of examination from the contemporary point of view, that is what they're looking at. Naturally, you will be able to study history, geography, economics. They know very well, but they want you to link whatever you've studied with the current level. Try to understand the contemporary relevance of the subjects that you're studying, because let's say if you study about unemployment, so you understand the concept of unemployment, But here government is would want you and would expect you that can you link unemployment with what is happening in India right now. For example, India is facing issues of jobless growth. India is facing a problem of disguised unemployment. Today in this COVID-19, India is facing a problem, a huge unemployment of the migrants. Not only unorganized sector, even the organized sector people are given pink slips. So what can be measure and response in this period? What kind of this unemployment scenario is, you know okay, so all these things have to be understood, and all these things have to be read properly. So the objective of the examination should be so that we are able to understand and be thorough on them. Okay, so let's take one by one. Okay, so newspaper are the most important part of the current affair. Now remember, just read the syllabus first. Go and be thorough with the syllabus. uh, if you are starting for the first time preparation, and if you believe that maybe you are not thorough with the syllabus, what you can do is that pick the syllabus and read every day for maybe 10 minutes, just 10 minutes. Invest with the syllabus every 10 minutes. And when you invest with the syllabus, just read it properly. Why I'm saying this, you can do it for almost next 20 days, a month, 1 month. Why I'm saying this, because after a month, if I ask you, and I ask you a very basic thing, Naxalism is mentioned in the syllabus or not? Or if I ask, you know, capitalism is mentioned in the syllabus or not? Let's say this word is mentioned or not. If I ask you, you should be able to know, no, it is not mentioned, or it is mentioned. Or health is mentioned in the syllabus or not? Okay, or constitution, parliament is mentioned or not? So if I ask you these questions, you should be in a span of just in matter of second, you'll tell, okay, yes, it is mentioned in GS paper 2, and so it is not, it is mentioned like this. So the idea behind the understanding of syllabus is that you will be able to filter what is coming in the newspaper. So when I pick the newspaper, let's say I pick the today's newspaper, and if I pick the today's newspaper, and if I'm not able to filter what is relevant and what is not relevant, and for that maybe I'm making a mistake of not understanding the syllabus. So let's understand the syllabus first, and for that there are no shortcuts here. Understanding syllabus will require you to read every day for 10 minutes only for 1 month. And as you read every day, the words mentioned in the syllabus will you will become more familiar, because aspirants who are preparing, they're coming from various backgrounds. There are some people from science background, there are other people from humanities background, there are other people from commerce background. So when people coming from different streams, they have their own comfort zones. For example, coming from science, you will able to understand something which is technical, or maybe which has science related. But for but you would not be able to understand geography or history or economics. So understanding, or at least reading the syllabus will make you feel, okay, development is mentioned, or growth is mentioned, or sustainable development word is mentioned. Naturally, when you read them and you start covering the syllabus one by one, topic by topic, then you'll have a thorough understanding. But at least in the beginning, you should know the topics which are there in the syllabus, and for that, syllabus reading is very important. The idea, an idea behind the entire that you have to navigate the syllabus, try and understand what exactly the syllabus is. Read it, just read it one by one, one by one, just read it one by one. For example, if I if there's a question, no, there's an article on urbanization, let's say. Yesterday an article, a friend of mine, his name is Srijan Pal Singh, and he is he wrote an article on urbanization, and that article he wrote an article on the urbanization. And the article that he wrote, that was with Niti Aayog, Rajiv Kumar. He is the vice chairman. He also was one of the member who wrote. So if you read the article, you should ask yourself, okay, urbanization is syllabus or not? So moment you see the article, you should be able to filter, yes, it's a part of the syllabus, hence I should be able to read it. So that is the focus, that should be the approach. When you read an article on globalization and its link with society, you should be able to understand whether it is mentioned syllabus or not. So that is what will require. It will take some time to read, but as I mentioned, there are no shortcuts. It will take some time. Invest 1 month in just reading the syllabus, just 10 minutes every day, not more than that. Okay, because that way easily you'll be able to filter and navigate what is relevant and what is not relevant, or what is more relevant. So that should be the objective of the aspirant. They should understand what is mentioned in the syllabus. uh, the questions can be direct as well as indirect, though in recent time, in the past 3-4 years, you would find that the questions are more indirect. There is no direct, or you can say explicitly there is a linkage, so there is more of an implicit or indirect linkage with issues in the current affair. So because it's a cat and mouse game between what UPSC want and what coachings are teaching. UPSC want to ensure that the people, the coachings are not successful, but the more they try to play with the syllabus, they try to bring new surprise element, it becomes more difficult for students to understand what is needed. And hence mentors like me, who are investing time in the process, will have to give inputs, and we have to maybe decode the entire process. So direct questions have been coming down and indirect questions are coming more. There is a indirect, implicit questions can be there, and for that you have to be thorough with the newspaper. And of course NCRTs are the base. You can't ignore NCRTs. If you feel that if you have a very good understanding, you can easily go ahead preparation without reading NCRTs, you are making a mistake. So let's focus on the NCRTs first. There are 20 plus NCRTs. The next lecture is on Saturday, where I'll be discussing about how to read NCRTs and which NCRTs are relevant. There are more than 40 NCRTs, so that next lecture of mentoring will be on Saturday, where I'll be taking NCRT part, because whatever lectures I'm making, that is based on the demands of the student who are putting me. So if you want to cover me some other area, you can also put your demands. So newspaper reading. Now question here is that in the current affair newspaper, there are many sources. The first is newspaper. Okay, newspapers, The Hindu, Indian Express, there are Mint, and there are many others. But yes, this is the first choice, and you can go with the second choice, Indian Express. But always pick one newspaper, not more than that. Only one newspaper. Don't try to become that I'll cover multiple sources. One very basic approach of cracking this examination is that your sources should be limited and should be few. Once you are thorough with those sources, if you want to go ahead further and explore and you have time, go ahead, but at least make your study simple and to the point. Unfortunately, we have so many online sources, and so many things are being bombarded on you in terms of videos, in terms of content, and students get confused because they feel everything is important. No, everything is not important. You have to prioritize what are important and what is less important. So newspaper reading, the first part, is important, and here it has no alternate. You have to be regular here. It will take some time. If you're starting preparation now, you can take some, maybe it will require another 1 or 2 months of time where you will start understanding current affair easily one by one, but it will take some time. The second is Yojana and Kurukshetra. Yojana and Kurukshetra are very good magazines, but I would not expect the students who are starting right away to start with Yojana and Kurukshetra. If you feel somewhere there are videos or lectures, completely avoid it. You can do Yojana and current affair probably maybe 10 months down the line. After 10 months from today, if you're starting, you can go with Yojana and Kurukshetra. And here also the questions will be Yojana Kurukshetra. They are mostly relevant for mains, but there are few top, maybe concept can come for prelims as well. Yojana and Kurukshetra are the low priority areas. Once you are thorough with the basics of your syllabus, the newspaper part is regular. And if you still have bandwidth, which I believe will not be there, then you can go with Yojana and Kurukshetra. Then you have a PIB, public press information bureau. You don't have to do PIB separately. If you're doing newspaper, which means PIB is covered. Many a times PIB gives more detail about a topic of, let's say government is coming with a new scheme, so they will put everything in the PIB. Coaching institution like us, everybody, we follow PIB source as a primary source. So the note that we are giving, the PIB is the primary source. So you don't have to do separately for PIB. But PIB can be one of the source if you want to do R&D, and if you want to feel that what is the most authentic source, so PIB can be the most authentic source. Okay, so PIB is a government release, and remember, I will read which is more genuine. My sources for will be government sources, and maybe international sources will be World Bank and IMF. Don't go for nondescript sources or from some XYZ publication or that. No, avoid that. Okay, so newspaper is the primary thing. Also, a student after a time, maybe after, if students who are little veteran who have prepared the examination maybe after 10 months or maybe next year, they can go for the Rajya Sabha debates, and there are debates on the Lok Sabha as well. Rajya Sabha, there are 2-3 very good debates. For example, there is a session called Big Picture. it is just a 20-25 minutes every day, video is there. You can, in your leisure time, you can go through them. Mostly they are covering the current issues, whatever is happening. India's world is about international relations. So aspirants, when they go close to the examination, they can, they can select the list of important topics which are discussed in the big picture. You see, remember, these are debates, okay? And they will, they will give you insight towards a topic, and maybe they will add more depth to your understanding. Okay, don't read the summary of these videos, because a lot of coaching, they will provide summary of these. So don't do that, because you would not be able to understand it. These are just mere fact. If you take notes from somewhere, these are just facts. So I would rather expect you to go through the video than themselves. And if you want, we can make some few points also if you want to, but keep it for the later period. In the beginning, only newspaper. Let's say if I say today, only newspaper, nothing else. Later on, a lot of people follow AIR and DD News also. There are magazines can also be covered, like Frontline, Economic and Political Weekly, but they are for those people who have covered their preparation and they are trying to cover all the bases. So maybe they will just go look at Frontline in EPW, but I would suggest avoid it completely right away. Then there are a lot of online and competitive magazines which are available for various coachings, and the competitive magazines are there, Pratitva Darpan, Civil Service Chronicle, Wizard, and there are so many, Civil Service Times, and there's so many, are coming every day. So these have to be the, low priority sources. Okay, and you can just, you can pick anyone which you feel is important, because there's a lot of competition among all of these. So everybody is making a decent content. Few are more popular, so you can go with the popular one if you want to, if you feel that you're not missing something on that. So you just follow the newspaper, and after following newspaper, in the end, you can just go through the list or index of the magazine, and if you feel that something is missed, you can just follow them. But your primary source should be newspaper, and that is the approach. One more thing, I have witnessed a trend, and a lot of students ask me, sir, what should we do? Because there are so many institutes, they are giving us daily newspaper analysis, or should I go with the daily newspaper analysis or not? Well, again, I would give a very sane advice that if you go with with maybe a lot of videos are coming, institutes are putting their own. These are mainly for promotional purposes, even if they're doing good work, but it's like a duplication of effort. If you see their video and you come to your own thing, so you're doing the same thing twice. So I would expect you to be sincere here in terms of understanding, and focus more on the sources which is coming from your side. For example, if you're reading newspapers, if you are doing some current affair lectures, make them the primary source. Don't try to do everything and anything from anywhere. So those have to be avoided completely. If you feel that they are good, I'm not saying they're not good, I'm just saying that they will make you dependent. UPSC preparation is more about self-reliance. It's like a mission of the government, self-reliance. So maybe after a few months down the line, I would expect that everybody of you are self-reliant. Yes, as a mentor, if you need me, if you need any input and guidance, we'll be there. If you join our institute and you are attending lectures, we'll be helping you on all the aspects, and we're covering the syllabus in detail. But I want you to use your own common brain. 3 months down, 4 months down the line, you should pick the newspaper, and you can easily filter, this is relevant, this is not relevant, this is less relevant, this is high relevant. And for that, syllabus, thoroughness of syllabus, and of course, later on, as the preparation go, the previous year questions should also be read. Okay, so you study a topic, let's say national income you've read, or you have read about taxation in India. So just see, or development, you have read a topic called development. So just see what kind of questions have come on development. Is it mentioned in the syllabus? Okay, so what kind of questions have come in the prelims as well as in mains? Can I crack those questions? Because ultimately that would be the basic, that will be the ultimate objective of the current affair. So let's understand. As I mentioned, newspaper reading is the most important thing of the current affair. As I mentioned, the other thing, for people who are beginner, they can skip it entirely. I'll share this PDF with the team, and you can get this PDF and you can go through them. And if you have any doubt, you can reach out to me as well. So there are 3 basic questions: why read newspapers, what to read newspapers, and how to read newspapers. I'll go a little quickly here, and if you have any doubts, I will take it in the end. First is, why do we read newspaper? Why don't I follow online sources and magazine? Why not I see a video every day of 1 hour? and I take the PDF from them, and everything is is good. Well, as I mentioned, you are developing your own approach, and for that, for example, when you're writing answers, I would expect your views, I would expect your opinion, I would expect your understanding, I would expect what is your clarity of thought. So because every aspirant will have to charter their own path, every aspirant will have to understand the relevance of this competition, every aspirant will have to maybe understand the nuances of this competition. And if you are taking something tailor made from one source, okay, it's good, but still I would want this part, which is current affair, which is highly dynamic, would require individual effort from each one of you. Even if you spend 30 minutes of reading and editorials from your side, that will also do, but make sure you do at least editorials as well. I say a lot of people are in job, they have their own work, maybe many a times you don't have time to do that, because many of our as the students in my institute are they're working in job, there are students on weekend batches, they're working in job, you know so again they definitely have a problem, they do not have such time. So for them I would suggest that just at least read the editorials. If you can't read the entire newspaper, at least read the macro issues. Okay, yes, the rest we will be complementing in the current affair lectures, or maybe maybe we'll be giving current affair magazine, or weekly magazines, or daily analysis. That's all okay, but I would suggest that you follow your own approach. Now, why? Because if you read an article, let's say there's an article on development, there's an article on growth, there is an article on environment. Okay, so when you read few articles, you develop opinion, because those articles are coming from various sources, and you tend to get a wider picture of the issue. If you ask me to make an article on that, I will pick and choose, cut, copy, paste from that main article, or maybe from 5 articles, and give it to you. But that will not help you develop your own opinion. These are just mere fact, if I give you, or if the institute give you. So here I would expect to read things. Second is, many things are evolving. Let's say this right now, this India China problem is going on. Okay, so it's an issue which is going from so many days, and probably it will go for another 1 month. So the Doklam in 2017 went for almost 70 days. Okay, so when you read every day, new facts will come, you'll be able to get a wider picture. It's like a picture is moving in front of you. If you're if you are going through, it's like a picture going in front of you. So newspaper reading is like you develop an understanding so that you can visualize things, what is happening. What is happening in economy? Can you visualize? What is happening in environment? Can you visualize? What is climate change? Can you visualize? Can you see? Do you have real examples in your mind? Can you can you link what is happening? Because if I make a note, if you have not read those topics, and I give you a a 2-page notes on that, it will, these are mere fact. Maybe understanding part will not be that lucid. But if you are able to read newspapers, you are able to develop your continuity of thoughts. The understanding part is wider. You have a huge canvas of thought, and that is called thought process development. And then if I ask you, what is your view on climate change? Where are we lacking? What should be the measures? What measures we have taken in 90s? What measures we have taken recently? Green Climate Fund is not a reality. UNFCC is not a reality. So when I am asking these questions, in your mind you should be able to be able to find and interlink them, because in UPSC you never know on which part, on which area they might ask question, and you can't just read the from the magazines or the static things of for the magazines, or maybe some guide. That will not help you, because you would not be able to maneuver the paper as per the requirement of the competition. So this will require one time effort, and once it's a part of a habit, if you're doing every day, for example, I read newspaper every day, but I don't pick the newspaper. There are all the apps are there. I've taken subscription of Hindu in my mobile phone. I can easily, I just go, I get up in the morning and I read 4 or 5 articles. If I get a time in the beginning, I'm doing work on the laptop, I have subscription, so I can go and read the article. I have a Hindu newspaper also. Sometimes I'll pick newspaper as well. So on the go I'm reading. I don't have to make a specific effort. Yes, I do not. There is no pressure on me that I have to give examination tomorrow, but it has become a part of my daily routine. Because if I'm reading every day, then only I'll be able to help you and guide you. You might pop a question in front of me, sir. What is the meaning of this, or what is the meaning of that? So I have to be updated, and that is a part of my job. Similarly, it is a part of your job to be thorough with the newspaper and what is happening around. If you're preparing for the UPSC, it's a part of your job. You can't take it for granted. So that is the basic thing. Second is, you develop convergence about, many times you might have read an issue for 1 month, and that issue is evolving, and then I say, okay, 20 minutes. Just put everything in 20 minutes. Can you put everything in 20 minutes? 20 minutes, or can you write in 200 words whatever has happened in last 1 month? So you pick the important points and you converge them and you put a very meaningful communication. And for that, it is very important that first you develop those thoughts and then you start working on the convergence part. When you read every day, you come across a lot of words. Words are like friends. Okay, when the first you meet them, you do not know them. Then you tend to know the meaning of a first word. Then there's a little acquaintance, and then you start reading coming across those words again and again. A time comes in that your familiarity about words is way too high. A time comes in that you can use the word whenever you want, because eventually that is the objective. Because tomorrow you have to write answers, so you develop your vocabulary, and unknowingly, out of the effort that you're putting every day, your communication skill will automatically improve. Then newspaper reading also has a benefit of pictorial memory, because when you're reading every day, you're reading images, you're reading things, and also when you're visualizing, because newspaper reading is about analysis, about developing opinion, about developing thoughts. So you are able to develop the pictorial memory in your mind. Those memory will always remain. Tomorrow, if you revise the same notes, or when you revise the same newspaper, or when the issue comes again, that picture will immediately flash back in your mind, and that is how you develop the more the tenacity or the understanding part is much stronger. So that is why we read newspapers, and you develop the awareness part increases. The next is what to read in a newspaper. Now, what to read in a newspaper, again, specifically there's another lecture I'll take on step by step, article by article. But here the objective is what to read in a newspaper. Yes, Gopi, I'll take a question. Gopi has a question. Newspaper reading takes too much amount of time. How can I do it? Well, we'll come to that. So what to read? So first, list all the relevant article in 10 minutes. Whatever is relevant in the newspaper, just filter them and try to find what are the relevant ones. The general skimming, for example, page number 1, general skimming. The editorials part, again, most important part. Okay. Then the lead article, the editorial part, only 6 and 7 page. So this whole page is very important. Then since UPSC is a macro examination, so the objective is the macro news. Okay, objective is the macro news. So let's go with the macro news. Op-ed, opposite editorial, opinion of author. So there are people who write articles on issues, so you can read them. But again, there are many articles. Out of 10 articles, maybe 3 articles are not, maybe 4 articles, 5 articles are not relevant. So we should be able to filter them as well. For example, there's an article on politics. There's an article written by some politician. You can completely avoid it. There's an article written by some other sources, so you can avoid it. There is an article which there are politicians are discussing. You can avoid it. The sports page, you can easily avoid it. Just focus on the governance news, nation, maybe Supreme Court or High Court verdict, from news from the nation's perspective. Okay, government order, schemes, all these have to be done. Other areas could be international news, organizations, news on Indian economy. So if you try to see, out of 20 pages of the newspaper, maybe 4 to 5 pages are more relevant, and rest can be completely avoided. So the objective here is to filter it. I believe even if you have lesser time, at least go through the editorials. Editorials are most important. Rest, if you feel you can't read, at least will help you through magazines and other sources. But editorials is important for opinion building. So these are the focus areas. I will take another newspaper session on specifically for how to read newspapers, because it will take me at least half an hour to do them. There is a video also on YouTube in ISA channel where you can read what to read specifically in a newspaper. So these are the areas which have to be covered. Then how to read? Now that is a basic question. Just Gopi asked me how to read. You can spend 1 to 1.5 hours at the max. Now this is once you are able to understand what is relevant in the newspaper. What are relevant articles? Any judgment, ruling, Supreme Court, GS paper 2 and 3. A lot of questions are asked from above mentioned issues. Understand the judgment, link with polity, governance, history, polity, economy. Okay, if you can link it, because in the beginning you wouldn't be able to link it. Then link it. Right to privacy as a fundamental right. No, sports news have to be avoided. Then social issues, education, health, some skill development, some issues, women and child development, uh, elderly problems or elderly population problems if it is there. So impact on society, pros, cons, positive, negatives, short term, long term, 2 decades down the line, 1 decade down the line. So you if you feel, you can easily list them. But syllabus is the first thing. Understand the syllabus, then link them. What kind of there. After a month from today, you can go through previous year question papers, the mains and prelims as well, but mostly the mains. So mains will be able to filter you. Okay, if you read health, if you have read in the health, so you might be able to understand, okay, questions from health are coming like this. So you can easily do that. If there is a new education policy there, or maybe government has come with a new scheme, or recently government has come with a lot of agriculture reforms, Atmanirbhar Bharat, removal of APMC Act, or maybe Essential Commodities Act have been lifted. So n number of things could be there. So maybe then Supreme Court might give a judgment on these. So you have to understand the macro perspective, the problem, issues, why it has come, and for that newspaper reading is very important. No institute can give you everything, on a platter. Even if it is able to give you, there will be some gap. It cannot be, the clarity which you will get from newspaper. It has no parallel. So forest conservation, interlinked rivers, child, women, education. Recently, that Kerala, in the problem with Kerala happened. So it's a very good example of man-animal conflict. Okay, man-animal conflict. That is one isolated event. Maybe hundreds of elephants, or 50 or hundreds of elephants are dying in Kerala every year, as per various data. Okay, so you need to understand what here will be the approach, why this man-animal conflict is happening, where maybe we are encroaching in their land, maybe in the population, their population is increasing, and number of challenges could be there. Then government schemes. So we have hundreds of government schemes which in past 2-3 years have come. So they are important from the examination. So you have to make a list of the important schemes. Not all schemes are important. Only the macro, the government of India schemes are important. The state news have to be avoided. Don't do state news and local news. Yes, their editorials. And if you can also collect good editorials if you want to, because you can revise them later on. Okay, so these are the primary sources which have to be covered. Again, after this lecture, if this is the first lecture, you will be able to understand little bit, because if you invest your time in the newspaper for the next 1 year, sorry, next 1 month, then the clarity would be more there. What I'm telling today is more about fact. It is a fact that you are you are able to understand. But probably after a month, if you invest time every day for 1 hour, you'll be able to see things. You'll be able to see through things. Okay, for example, if I say what is to be read in the environment, what is to be read in the in the areas of biodiversity, what is to be read in the areas of maybe economy. So, and for that you need to first start reading them, and then eventually you'll be able to filter. For example, in economics, you have to read macroeconomics, the state of India's economy, maybe government policy, government schemes, the policy of the government of India, the policy of RBI, the policy for banking system in India, not individual, but at macro level, how India is doing in terms of job, employment, poverty, how India is doing in terms of welfare, sustainable development. So if you are able to understand, and for that, ultimately previous year, there are only two ways: previous year questions and syllabus. If you are thorough on both of them, which will take again time, and in the next 2 years, you'll invest a lot of time in going through these questions. After, let's say, you study cover a topic, I would expect you to write an answer on that the question which have come in the previous year. If you studied, if you have studied sustainable development and there is an article on sustainable development, I would sorry, there is a question on sustainable development, I would expect you to write that answer and show it to me, so that I understand where you stand. Okay, so that is how it have to be there. There are a lot of secondary sources like PIB, PRS, national television. Now they are very secondary. That means for beginners, at least in the coming 3-4 months, don't go through them, because it will be overburden. I want you to develop an understanding of what to be filtered and what not to be filtered, and just pick one source and go with that every day. Don't go with the Yojana and start going with the website of the government. because it's like you are doing too many things at the same time. Focus on the newspaper, and once the newspaper part is thorough, then you can move to the next level. You can ask me specifically, sir, should I do Yojana? Which Yojana have to be done? Which articles have to be there? In fact, after 2 months, you will come yourself tell me, sir, I think in Yojana these three articles are important. The rest can be left. So that would be the approach for newspaper current affairs. Newspaper reading is very important. Okay, and later on the note making can also be there, but note making again, it's like a very basic thumb rule. I always tell the student that whatever you study keeping one thing in mind, that I'll be able to revisit few times before my examination. Which means if I read something today, I would read with the intention that tomorrow I'm be able to revisit it and revise it. If you feel that you're reading something and you might not be able to come to or revise it again because you're reading too many things, then probably you have to, that is not the approach. In fact, I would suggest you that make a small list of things that you need to do. Don't make a big list. Just one newspaper. If somebody is telling do Yojana, do Kurukshetra, do this, do the PIB, just say thank you very much. For me, I will take my path one by one. I can't, go to the, if I'm at the bottom, let's say I'm going in a building on a, I'm going through a stairs. I can't reach the second floor directly. I'll have to go with the, ground, then first, then second, and then third, fourth, like that. So ultimately, that is important. Note making is a very important process. Again, note making is something that I'll take another lecture here. Note making again will require some 20-25 minutes of time. But note making can be in your notebook. Okay, a lot of people do. They are making online notes also. There are a lot of good softwares which can be done. But again, it is very individual. I'm a traditional person. I believe that handwritten notes has no parallel, because eventually it will also help in the habit of writing. But many people do it online also. In fact, my own students, they do it online. A lot of students I've seen, they make good online notes collation of that. So it depends how you are able to do that. Some people are very comfortable in reading a lot of stuff online. For example, I cannot study for more than 2 hours on a laptop. Okay, so and then I have to take a break. Then I'll come back. A lot of people have a habit of reading on the laptop or on the iPad or any pad for a long period of time. So that is something is very individual, and you can't make a common approach for everybody. So that is the whole approach that we'll be going through. And I believe you must have got some understanding. Another thing, in the next lecture I will be talking about NCRTs. Okay, that will be on Saturday the same time, which NCRTs have to be read. So this is a detailed lecture I'll be taking that day. So I will stick here for now. If you have any questions specifically, you can ask me, beta. I can answer them. And if you have any specific doubt apart from the session, you can reach out to me, through phone call as well. Okay, any questions, guys? No questions? Anybody? Any questions, beta? You have anything? The question can range from anything in general preparation. You want to start, you want to read. Okay, so Gopi has a question. Integrate notes. Okay, so Gopi, what question you have? Can be more specific. So you are looking at how do you make an integrate notes from newspaper? You're asking me. Okay, so what is the meaning of integrate note? Integrate note, which means so there are two approaches which mostly I come across student. Again, it is very so one is like students, they follow a book and read it from the book, and then they make extra notes from current affairs, and they parallelly do that. Okay, so they revise, they follow the book as well, but they don't make notes from the books. They read book directly, and they make extra notes related to the topics. For example, there's a parliament, or for example, there is amendment of Indian Constitution, or maybe something is in judiciary is there, Supreme Court, High Court is there. So they've read it from Lakshmikant or Sand book, but whatever is in news, they make extra note and they revise it. So when I read polity, I'll read the extra notes in that area as well. This is a very there's a common approach many students follow because it is practically. The second could be an integrated note where a lot of students make their own. For example, if you are an institute, so we'll give you class notes. And in class notes, we'll also be integrating with the current issues. Current affair issues will be there. Now, this is an integrated approach. So if we give class notes, it's an integrated approach. Individually, a lot of students do that. They make their own self notes and they have a current affair part linked with that. So anything in news in the current affair, you make notes. So you make your own notes as well from the standard book. Now, naturally here it can be summary and you can link with the current affairs. So this is called integrated approach for making notes. Okay, so Shruti has a question. Uh, how to write answers from notes in the given word limit? Well, writing answers will require you to have maybe recall factor from the notes. And the first thing would be that notes, whatever you make, they require regular revision. Because if you are revise, you can recall them, and when you're able to recall them, you can use in your answers. So I follow a very small 10% rule, which not today, but probably maybe few months down the line, you follow 10% rule, and this 10% rule is only for revision. And do here micro revisions. Do a small revision, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, not more than that. So let's say you, you're making notes from the current affairs. So also, invest just 10% of your time in revising them. If you're investing 1 hour in making them, at least make sure you are investing 5, 7, 10 minutes to revising them. And do it regularly, which means it should not be that you keep 1 day only for revision. That is not a right approach. Revision should go concurrently and parallelly. So once you revise, let's say you're writing an answer. So when you're writing a question, okay, let's say you're writing a question, and this question is about, Make in India. Okay, how Make in India will help India usher or will help to industrialize India and boost the manufacturing growth in India on the lines of self-reliance or Atmanirbhar Bharat, which government has recently suggested. So you Make in India, and you have made notes recently, you come across from the articles. So if you revise it, you can easily use in the answer. Okay, Santosh has a question. Acha, Biplav, you have a question first. How I will prepare myself for IAS study? Well, Biplav, this is a very common general question. For that you have to attend my orientation, because it's I cannot tell you one thing. Preparing for IAS would require you to cover all the bases. You start with the basics. You understand the syllabus. You try to understand the very intention of the IAS examination. This examination specifically want you to serve the country, so you have to have intent for the service. And of course, you focus the syllabus and you understand what are the areas, the questions or the syllabus part that comes in, and you prepare those area. Okay, and of course the writing part is very important. Santosh is a question, sir. Can you explain how indirect questions are asked in UPSC? Well, Santosh, indirect questions can be asked in many types. For example, let's say there could be a question on the strategy on let's say we studied topic in in a form of let's say we studied unemployment. Okay, you studied unemployment, and and you have discussed about unemployment. Now question, government might not put you unemployment, or government might put it in a very in a very different approach. I'll give you a basic example. In mains 2015, because I have to recall the questions also if you're asking this question. So they asked a question that Make in India, labor reforms, and Skill India. So they said in order to ensure Make in India is success, India will have to bring radical labor reforms along with skilling of the India's population. Now, so basically the three part hai. So there are three macro strategies of government have been linked here. So government is expecting you to discuss the Make in India and link Make in India with the labor reform, the requisiteness or requirement of the labor reform, and how it is also important to link with the using of the demography. So right now we have a demographic advantage, which means more than 50% of India's population is under the age of 35. Okay, So this is a demographic advantage, but this demographic advantage will become demographic dividend only if this population is skilled. And if that is skilled, automatically Make in India will start happening, and labor reform will ensure that all these people get a secure job. Okay, so you can see there are indirect reference to a lot of things are happening. So the question might not give you directly, but moment you look at these questions, so there are indirect reference to the government schemes. There are direct reference also, but indirectly you have to link them, and you have to make a very cogent picture of the entire thing. Remember, and you have to do it in a 200 word or 250 word. So that is a challenge. Okay, and as more question will come, because I have to take some questions to make them understand. As more question will come, I'll explain you that how these are indirect. Okay. So any more questions, guys? Kajal, you have some question, beta? I think you had some questions specifically. Gopi, I think you understood what I discussed and what I just discussed. You understood? You have some question? Okay, okay, good, good. See, one more thing, guys. Once you start something, it will take some time, because UPSC is not about only learning; it is about unlearning a lot of things. See what has happened, that so far you've gone through schools, and you have gone through college. Now we have a very standard approach where very mechanical process followed for studies. You follow a rote memorization. Everything whatever you need in the college exam, it is available to you. Just need to go through them and solve the questions. Never ever effort was made where we develop your thought process, you develop your critical reasoning, you develop your lateral reasoning. Never effort was made, and that is why UPSC becomes difficult, or becomes a different for you. I would not say difficult; it is a different. So you have to do a lot of things which you have not done so far in the preparation. You have to unlearn a lot of things. So learning is easy, but unlearning is very difficult. Alok, I have taken this lecture. There is a video on ISH YouTube channel, how to read newspaper. You can go there, beta. Okay. Okay. So just go through that video. If you still have doubt, I will take it to you. Mindset. Okay. So Kapil Naik is saying, sir, how do we do the mindset? Okay. So mindset. What is the meaning of mindset? What exactly are you looking at? Are you asking me that how do you maintain the motivation for preparation? That is what you're asking me. Or are you asking something else? Okay, should I should I unmute you all? If you want to talk to me, you can talk to me as well. Okay, should I unmute you people? And if you want to talk to me, you can one-to-one talk to me, so that others can also listen to your question. But for that, you have to maintain little discipline. Others will not speak in between. Should I do it? Okay, fair enough. So let's take me this question of Gopi. How do we develop unlearning? Okay, unlearning means yes, it will create chaos. Yes, yes, unmuting will create chaos. I can understand. What is the meaning of unlearning? Unlearning means Santosh is questioning. So what is unlearning? Santosh, I'll ask a very basic question. In your school days, how many times you got an opportunity where you were expected to write your own thinking about anything? When were you expected to write an article, to develop, to express your views on something in a very broad manner? I believe there were very few chances. Was there any time a situation came where we expected to question this or analyze this? Very rare, I think. So I think we are like subjected to a learning process which focuses on going through voluminous reading, gathering facts, information, memorizing them. UPSC is not about that. UPSC is about developing understanding. UPSC is about developing thought process. Do you think it is practically possible to remember so many things by reading so many books? It is practically impossible. So here the objective is to develop the understanding, And when once you're reading it, you'll be able to express in your own words. I'll give you an example. If you write an answer for mains and that answer is your own, it is not from the book, then you'll get very good mark. And when you pick things directly from book, line by line, and there is little innovation from your side, you'll get average marks. So UPSC is about developing you, as in it's a process where you develop yourself as an educated and aware person. So that is what should be the major objective. Okay. So I believe you understood what unlearning means. And if you still have doubt, we can discuss it one to one. Okay. Yes. Any questions further, guys? Mindset. Okay. Gopi, mindset. How do you motivate? Okay. So what is the motivation? Where is the motivation coming from? So motivation will come from two sources. One is the external sources. If you see somebody's photo, if you see your topper's video, if you see some article of this IS is doing something this or that, that is external. This will for a while. Then there is an internal motivation where you get self-driven. There could be very reason. For example, you want to serve the society, you want to make a change, you want a good professional job, you want a good professional job, you want a job with security, you want a job with good quality of life, you want a job which will help you to explore yourself, you want a job which has wider canvas of operation. It is not about income, it is not about money anymore. So you need to ask yourself, what is my driver? It is personal, it is social, it is professional, it is familial. And this, of course, always ask yourself, am I motivated enough? Because there will be time, there will be period of low moment in your preparation. When things are low, things will not work for you. And for that, you need reason. And that is where I believe 50% preparation is non-academic. We institute focus more on the academic part. We cover this syllabus, this note, this thing, so many MCQs, blah, 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 and you get floored by so many things. But how many people focus on this? How do you maintain the motivation? How do you address your small little challenges every day? When you start preparation, you'll have your own degree of challenges. How do you address that part? You have to learn that. And here maybe you need input, you need mentor. I every day I get messages from my old student. They're preparing. Some of them, for some reason I have not cleared. Some of them fail in the interview, reach the interview. And how do you maintain them? So they reach out to me. They share the problem. They know how to prepare, they know everything. But for me, it is more about realizing them. See, you have these elements, you can crack the examination. It's just a matter of time. Maybe something I might not have worked in the past time. So again, for them, the input they require is different. Now how do you maintain it? That motivation, it has to be intrinsic, it has to be pure, it has to be internal. So let's make a mission. Let's make a mission where you say that in next 2 years I have to change my quality of life, I have to get this job. And see, don't be very emotional about it. A lot of people get over the extreme, they become too serious and they become very emotional. No, use your common sense. This preparation will have the period of ups and downs. There are no magic wand here. Nothing will happen, or it's like magic will not happen in one go. It will happen slowly. What the magic is? If you're able to sustain the process. What the magic is? If you're able to find solutions to the problem. If you're able to maintain the pressures or expectations of people or peer group or so many people. Because once you're starting, expectations are less. But many a times, after 1 year or 1.5 years, suddenly your parents will start expecting a lot of things from you. Why you should get selected. And suddenly, even though there is no pressure, suddenly you start feeling the heat of the pressure. So right now, motivation has to come from the primary reason why you're preparing. What is the job? For me, it was about doing opportunity. I met a lot of students and who said, sir, it is all about good quality job. I want a good job. That's all. And fair enough. You have to find your own reason. Okay, so again, it depends from individual to individual. I met, just in Feb and March, we were having interview guidance program. I interviewed more than 80 students. And you know what they said? Many of them said, sir, I like the uniform of IPS officer. And I mean, that is a fair thing. Nothing wrong in that. A lot of people like the uniform and IPS officer. and they want to be an IPS officer because the uniform is so good. That is how they look at. And in the uniform, that badge where it is the IPS is written, because in an IS there is no uniform, but in IPS there is a uniform. So when you move around and somebody looks at a uniform and there is written IPS, it kind of brings a new kind of motivation. So you need to ask yourself, what is your motivation? Okay. So that is all, guys. Any more questions you have? I will take it. Then I will close the session for now. Should we close it? Any more questions if you have?